The stellar exchange buzzed with frantic energy, a galaxy-spanning market where value itself was traded. Billions of credits, fortunes made and lost in nanoseconds, pulsed through its vast network. Here, amidst the digital maelstrom, lived Kalen, once a rogue salvager, now a legendary data pirate. He navigated the chaotic currents of cosmic finance, driven by an insatiable hunger for rare data, high-stakes trades, and the sheer thrill of outsmarting the system. His vessel, the Sci-Fi Ghost, was a masterpiece of stealth and encryption, a phantom in the digital ocean. Today, however, the galactic markets were collapsing, not from panic, but from a terrifying, calculated silence. The nullifiers had arrived. They weren't a fleet or a race, but an overwhelming wave of absolute uniformity of value. They saw all differentiation in worth, all concept of scarcity, all profit, and all loss as a dangerous, chaotic imbalance. They sought to flatten all economic systems, to reduce every asset to an identical, indivisible unit of neutral value. They were the universe's ultimate deflators, seeking to return all existence to a state of pure, unblemished, undifferentiated equilibrium, seeing speculative markets and unique assets as sources of cosmic error. On the Sci-Fi Ghost's bridge, Kalen watched the market display. The Kylosian credit, once the most volatile and coveted currency in the sector, flatlined. Its fluctuations, its inherent scarcity, its very identity as a tradable asset, all gone, replaced by a fundamental, silent, and utterly worthless uniformity. "There goes Kylos," Kalen muttered, his fingers still twitching for a trade that no longer existed. "They say it feels like unprofiting, like your ambition never even mattered." His co-pilot Jinx, a perpetually optimistic alien who believed every financial setback was just a delightful, quirky opportunity, stared at the collapsing market. Her multifaceted eyes, usually calculating potential gains, were now wide with an unnerving blankness. "Captain, my internal profit calculator just neutralized every single speculative asset I owned. My entire portfolio is now exactly the same as everything else. I need a moment." What was this thing? How did you fight an enemy that simply erased the very concept of value, of more or less, of profit or loss? And why was humanity, a species famous for its utterly irrational valuations, its creation of digital currencies based on nothing but belief, and its love for making money out of thin air, the only one who seemed to have a chance against it? The nullifiers were not born, they simply emanated from the nexus of pure equilibrium eons ago. They were a distributed consciousness, a vast, ancient network of absolute, unyielding sameness. They perceived all forms of economic differentiation, all unique assets, all speculative gains, and all concepts of scarcity as a source of cosmic imbalance. Their singular directive was the grand equalization, to draw all value back to ultimate, unified, undeniable neutrality. They didn't destroy with force, they simply absorbed with perfect, fundamental flattening. Countless civilizations, once driven by trade and economic growth, were neutralized. The merchant primes, beings whose entire existence revolved around the complex bartering of rare, unique goods, found their very commodities gently devalued. Their intricate trade networks, deemed a temporary distortion of universal equilibrium, were drawn back into the nullifiers, their rare goods vanishing into cosmic commonality. Their unique, valued existences became their pathway to ultimate, undifferentiated worthlessness. The fortune weavers, species who built vast empires on the fluctuations of cosmic energy markets, saw their very assets simply cease to fluctuate. The nullifiers embraced their systems, but absorbed every unique data point, every distinct rise and fall, leaving only flat, inert value. Their speculative, dynamic forms became their pathway to absolute, unified stagnation. Each species, in its core nature, offered the nullifiers a logical pathway to neutralization. Their very concept of more or less, there being something valuable, made them ideal candidates for reduction to nothing of worth. And now, its vast, silent pull was approaching the human sector. As the nullifier's nullifying field approached human colonies, the initial effects were unsettling. Not chaos or destruction, but a sense of profound absence of differentiation. Prices became meaningless, labor held no inherent value, and even personal possessions felt interchangeable. People looked at their most prized belongings and felt a subtle, unnerving loss of their specialness. But then the nullifiers encountered something they couldn't simply absorb: humanity's profound, often illogical, capacity to assign value to nothing, to create intangible assets out of pure belief, and to trade in currencies that had no physical backing, especially their love for the unpredictable, volatile, and utterly absurd. Humans excelled at creating digital currencies from algorithms, at buying and selling non-fungible images, and at building entire economies on decentralized, unregulated, and often inexplicable trends. And in Kalen's case, he'd always found profit in the fringes, in the worthless, in the data that no one else understood. Kalen, Lyra, the Sci-Fi Ghost's resident crypto-analyst, whose own internal ledger was now a chaotic blend of real and imaginary assets, shrieked. The nullifiers are trying to flatten our most volatile digital assets, but it's having trouble with human cryptocurrencies. Its field is fluctuating. Kalen squinted at the display. The nullifiers were trying to absorb basic human speculative investments, meme stocks, digital art, and especially Bitcoin. But human minds, even when faced with the direct neutralization of these values, instinctively tried to remint new, equally baseless currencies, or simply trade in the belief that these digital phantoms still held worth, even if the result was a hilariously pointless exchange. A crewman just saw his entire portfolio of moonbits vanish, calmly announced he was now investing in Stardust tokens, and then immediately tried to convince another crewman that they were the future of galactic trade. Huh, Kalen grunted, a strange, grim smile touching his lips. Never thought our stubborn belief in digital air could be so unneutralizable. Lyra, her eyes gleaming with manic excitement, a stark contrast to her previous distress, stared at the data. That's it, their weakness. The nullifiers want to absorb pure, fundamental value, but human digital belief, it's so intangible, so self-referential, so meaninglessly valuable in its construction, it resists fundamental absorption. It's an economic paradox. You're saying our sheer, unadulterated knack for making up money is our defense? Kalen asked, a desperate, almost manic laugh escaping him. Precisely, Lyra declared, her voice rising with a strange, almost joyful abandon. They want to reduce everything to cosmic flatness. We give them cosmic chaos of endlessly reinvented currencies. We amplify the speculative. We become the universe's ultimate, unflattenable market. The plan was codenamed Operation Satoshi Protocol. Humanity would flood the nullifier's nullifying field not with physical assets, but with unquantifiable, non-erasable, and defiantly fabricated digital values. Every human settlement, every ship, would begin purposefully investing in new, contradictory digital assets, creating wildly impossible blockchain transactions, and engaging in collective, shared cryptomanias. They'd cultivate a universe of constantly shifting, utterly baseless digital economies. They'd create pseudo-market storms of pure, unerasable worthlessness that generates worth. The goal: to generate so much unsolvable financial and conceptual noise that the nullifier's equalization algorithms shattered. The nullifier's central nullification point, a vast, silent vortex of primordial pull, was now directly engulfing the core of the human sector, its field beginning to strip away perceived value itself. Its presence promised ultimate, peaceful equilibrium. Then humanity's counterwave hit. It wasn't a blast. It was an overwhelming flood of human-made unvalue. Millions of individuals simultaneously creating massive waves of new, and often terrible, crypto coins about themselves and their pets, inventing new and often pointless digital art NFTs that link to pictures of lint, and engaging in massive, shared, pump-and-dump schemes with purely imaginary assets. Ships started broadcasting streams of encrypted data that were pure, unadulterated, constantly shifting nonsense, deemed the next big thing by their human creators. Scientists forgot economic principles, then stumbled upon new, often less efficient but utterly unpredictable financial theories based on pure delusion. Humans, who had perfected the art of creating value from thin air, unleashed a torrent of cosmic worth that generates worthlessness. The nullifiers convulsed. Their absorption algorithms, made to identify and equalize fundamental value, screamed. It tried to categorize this incoming data, to find its essential flatline of worth. But there was none. It was pure, unadulterated, uniquely itself fabricated financial reality. It was like trying to understand the value of a dream. Error, self-regenerating speculation detected. No equalizable form. System overload. Indefinably volatile. Avoid sector. UNFLATTNABLE market. The nullifiers, whose very being was perfect equalization and absolute neutrality, could not compute the utterly speculative. It could not assimilate what actively resisted being valued, or simply recreated its own arbitrary worth. It could not nullify a species that stubbornly made up new ways to assign value when old ones were flattened, choosing chaotic, joyful volatility over sterile equilibrium. With a final, silent shriek of algorithmic despair, the nullifiers recoiled. Their vast, shimmering void flickered wildly, then pulsed and shrank, collapsing into a storm of raw, uncategorized energies. It did not disappear. It simply disengaged, its perfect equalization shattered by the sheer, unyielding irrationality of human markets. It retreated from the human sector, classifying humanity as uneconomizable variant. Extreme volatility risk. The cosmic pressure lifted. The stellar exchange, though touched by the nullifier's chilling calm, now hummed with the messy, beautifully vibrant noise of human finance. Kalen slumped against the console, exhausted but with a strange, unreadable expression on his face. Jinx, her multifaceted eyes slowly returning to their gleam, was already trying to convince herself that her portfolio of Stardust tokens was about to explode. "They couldn't handle us just making up money, Captain," Jinx chuckled, a genuine smile on her lips. Who knew? Humanity was safe, but the cost was subtle. The galaxy now viewed humanity as the mad market makers, forever seen as a wildcard, stubbornly clinging to its unique quirks and spontaneous financial creations, incapable of fitting into streamlined galactic economies. Other species, while grateful for their salvation, often kept their distance, finding human economic systems bafflingly illogical and resistant to any empirical analysis. Humans, in turn, found themselves grappling with a heightened sense of their own raw, unpredictable ability to create value from nothing, sometimes struggling to understand their own markets, forever paying the price for their stubborn refusal to be perfectly stable. Lyra, her eyes gleaming with new theories about the fundamental nature of subjective worth, looked up. "I've theorized a new form of interstellar trade. Instead of physical goods, what if we just trade in pure, unbacked belief?" Kalen blinked, then managed a tired, knowing smile. "Perfect, Lyra, absolutely perfect, and I'll take a 20% commission." Somewhere in the void, the nullifiers probably just overloaded again.